Okay, this prompt wants us to emphasize the duration and purpose of the work of Cohen and Rodriguez. Okay, so let's take a look at the bullet points. Now that we've identified what our goal is to find duration and purpose for these guys' work. The Gula are a group of African Americans who lived in parts of the southeastern United States since the 18th century. Okay, recall, we don't want the duration or purpose of the Gula. This is background information. We want the purpose of their work. That is Cohen and Rodriguez. Gula culture is influenced by West African and Central African traditions. Cohen is a Gula historian, storyteller, and preservationist. She founded the Gula Museum of Hilton Head in South Carolina in 2003. So this is setting up maybe the duration of her work. Rodriguez is a Gula historian, artist, and preservationist. She founded the Gula Museum in Georgetown in 2003. So this is indicating, again, the duration of their work and their purpose to some extent, what they're doing. So I want to see the information in these bullet points in the final answer. Let's check the answers. At the Gula Museums in Hilton Head Island, Georgetown, South Carolina, visitors can learn more about who have lived in the... It says nothing about duration. Luis Miller, Cohen, and Rodriguez have worked to preserve the culture of the Gula people who have lived in the... It's not about duration of the Gula people. So that's the wrong duration. It's the duration of their work here. That's incorrect. Since 2003, Cohen and Rodriguez have worked to preserve Gula culture through their museums. That's what they're doing. That's how long they've been doing it. That's duration and purpose. That's the right answer. D, influenced by the traditions of West Central Gula African culture developed in parts of the South. That, again, is about Gula culture. It is not about their work. C is the correct answer. 16, the student wants to emphasize the relative sizes. Okay, this is going to be a comparison problem, particularly a comparison of size of what? Let's identify the subject. The two capitals' populations. All right, so I want the relative sizes of the two capitals. Let's read the bullet points. Ulaanbaatar is the capital of Mongolia. The city's population is 900,000. Ulaanbaatar contains 31.98% of Mongolia's population. Hanoi is the capital of Vietnam. The city's population is about 7.78 million. Hanoi counts 8.14% of Vietnam's population. Okay, so what's going on here? Hanoi is a smaller percent of the country, but Hanoi is a much bigger city than is Ulaanbaatar, which is a bigger percentage of Mongolia's population, but it's a much smaller city. That's the relative relationship between the sizes. Let's find the answer that pulls out those ideas. Mongolia's capital is Ulaanbaatar, which has 907,000 people. Vietnam's is Hanoi, which has them. Okay, that's just a direct comparison over the overall size, not the relative size. That's the wrong answer. Comparing Vietnam and Mongolia, 7.8 million is 8.4%, 900,000. Again, that's just straight statistics. It's not a relative size comparison here. C, even though Hanoi, population 7.8 million, is larger than Ulaanbaatar, 900,000, Ulaanbaatar accounts for more of its country's population. That's the relationship we're looking for. That's the relative relationship between the two. C is going to be your answer. Let's just check D. The population of the capitals of Mongolia and Vietnam are 900,000, 7.8 million, respectively. Okay, that's just not useful information. It's not making a comparison, just listing facts. Correct answer is C. Okay, in this prompt, the student wants a quotation to emphasize a potential problem with the Wood Wide Web theory, whatever that is. So we have a lot of theories introduced here that are just weird names. You probably don't know what they are looking at the first time, but they're usually going to define it in the bullet points. So we want a quotation specifically in the answer, and it must highlight a potential problem with the theory. Let's read the bullet points. The popular Wood Wide Web theory posits trees can communicate and exchange resources with one another via common mycorrhizal networks of fungi. So basically this sounds a little like that movie Avatar, where the trees communicate with each other. Ecologist Dr. Suzanne Simard first suggested the theory in 1997. Okay, this is the background information on the theory, no quotes yet. She described trees as super cooperators. In the 2022 study, The Decay of the Wood Wide Web, mycologist Karst and colleagues evaluated dozens of CMN studies. Okay, Here's our studies. They write that CMNs have captured the interest of broad audiences. Here's our quote. We are concerned, however, that recent claims about CMNs in forests are disconnected from evidence. So quite simply say, there's no evidence for the claims of the earlier theory of the Wood Wide Web. Let's find the answer that actually indicates that and uses this quote here. Okay, A, describing trees as super cooperators. Okay, right away, that's not the correct quote. And that's not really a direct quote at all. That's going to be part of our answer. Simmer first suggested that trees can exchange resources with one another in 97. That is not indicating a problem. So that's definitely wrong. B, in the decay of the Wood Wide Web theory, Karst and colleagues note that common mycorrhizal networks have captured the interest. Okay, that's just because it seemed exciting, captured interest is not a problem. So that's going to be wrong. After evaluating dozens of CMN studies, Karst and colleagues expressed concern. Okay, now we're highlighting a problem. That recent claims about common networks are disconnected from evidence. That is indicating a potential problem. That's going to be our correct answer. And it's using a quote, so it satisfies both goals. Looks like C is going to be correct, but let's just check D. D, despite the concerns expressed in the 2022 study, The Decay of the Wood Wide Web, the Wood Wide theory remains popular. No, that's okay. That is nothing about the condition. We want to highlight the potential problems, not that it's still popular. C is the correct answer. 20, okay, we have another generalization prompt, and we want to make it about the kind of study by GBS, whoever these guys are. Okay, key there seems to be we want to find out the kind of study, maybe not the details of the study. Okay, so let's read the bullet points. British musician John Lennon and Paul McCartney shared writing credit for numerous Beatles songs. Many Lennon-McCartney songs were actually written by either Lennon or McCartney, but not both. Okay, the exact authorship of specific parts of many Beatles songs, such as the verse "In My Life," is disputed. MGS, these guy researchers, use statistical methods. Okay, now we're talking about the kind of study. Statistical methods to analyze the content of Beatles songs. Okay, that is the kind of study. They concluded that there's 18.9% McCartney wrote the verse "In My Life," stating that it's consistent with Lennon's songwriting style. So 18.9% is pretty low. It suggests McCartney did not write that verse. John Lennon wrote it. Okay, so they have a conclusion. They were able to use their statistical methods to solve this particular problem. Okay, the generalization about this problem is statistical methods as a kind of study can help determine who wrote songs. That looks to be the generalization. Let's look at the answer choices. Based on statistical analysis, Glypman Brown's song claimed that John Lennon, no, that's a specific conclusion. That's not a generalization. B, there is only an 18.9% probability McCartney wrote the verse of "In My Life." John Lennon's the more likely author. Yes, but that says nothing about the kind of study, which is what our goal condition is here. It is likely that John Lennon, not McCartney, wrote the verse. Again, that's, a particular detail or conclusion. It's not a generalization about the kind of study. Researchers have used statistical methods, this is the only answer talking about the kind of study used, to address questions of authorship within the field of music. Yes, that is a generalization, and the examples here showed that that can be a useful method to actually answer the questions, generally, irrespective of this particular example. D is the right generalization.